Good evening. Welcome to the 2020 Cleveland Jewish News and Classic Lexus 12 Under 36 Members of the Tribe Award Celebration. My name is Kevin Adelstein. I'm the publisher and CEO of the Cleveland Jewish News and the president of the Cleveland Jewish Publication Company. This evening's event comes to you with generous support from our partner, KMK Promotional Sales, and their president, Barry Jacobson. We're coming to you tonight from the campus of Classic Lexus, and with me is their general manager, Matt Dietz. Hi, Matt.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm excellent. Again, Classic Lexus is proud to once again partner up with you and the Jewish News to honor these individuals in our community that really are greatly exemplified by what you put out there for these awards.
Well, boy, I got to tell you, I never thought we'd be here doing this event at one of Northeast Ohio's beautiful, luxurious dealerships in lieu of having an event in person.
Yes, no, it's definitely different times right now, but again, it's glad. I'm very glad that we can be a part of something like this. That we're still really focusing on what we really need right now as individuals out there, helping our community.
Well, we're glad to be here, and thank you so much for your generous hospitality tonight.
Absolutely.
Sorry. We'll be back with Matt shortly. We're going to make the very most out of our time together, absent the cocktail reception and schmoozing, unfortunately. Nonetheless, we're going to give our 12 honorees the fanfare they deserve, and we're cautiously optimistic that sometime in the very near future of 2021, we will be able to safely bring us all together again in person to honor these 12 under 36 members of the tribe in a more formal, appropriate manner. Until then, we're grateful to have this platform at Classic Lexus to be able to honor them tonight or whenever you choose to watch this special presentation. And Matt is here to help me do just that. And you will have an opportunity to hear from each of our honorees virtually as they accept their awards and share with you a little bit about what makes them so deserving of this recognition for Northeast Ohio's Jewish community. The events of the last few months have presented challenges unprecedented to nearly every community around the world. Every day it seems more apparent changes we've adapted to will be here to stay for some time, while some facets of daily life are likely forever altered. While we all struggle to shift the needs of the time, young adults in our Northeast Ohio Jewish community, like their peers near and far, have grown up through change and unrest. Those between the ages of 26 and 35, the age of individuals selected for this year's Cleveland Jewish News and Classic Lexus 12 under 36 members of the tribe, have already lived through 9/11 and its massive repercussions, the Great Recession that left uncertain job prospects, and now a pandemic so severe, most avoided imagining it possible. In the future, this generation of Clevelanders may be known for their grit, adaptability, and compassion for those in need, and this year's class of 12 under 36 honorees certainly exemplifies that description. This year's award recipients join the ranks of those honored in 2019 and 2018, when we created this event to recognize Jewish professionals influencing the future of Northeast Ohio through professional and personal achievements. These are the 12 under 36, a number chosen as a nod to the 12 tribes of Israel, who were nominated by their peers and who we feel are deserving of recognition because they are making their presence known and felt in and around our community. Like their 12 under 36 peers before them, they are laying the foundation for a stronger and more dynamic future for all of us in Northeast Ohio. To help me introduce our 2020 class of 12 under 36 members of the tribe, I'm pleased to bring back up one of our partners for this year's event, Matt Dietz from Classic Lexus.
Thank you, Kevin. Our first honoree is Douglas N. Breitenbach.
Thank you very much to the Jewish News for this honor, and thank you very much to my wife Stephanie, my mom, and my extended family for always being there to support me.
Our next honoree this evening is Jamie Collins.
I want to thank my parents, Carol and Stu. I want to thank my fiance, Max, and my family and my friends for all their support and encouragement over the years. And I want to thank the Temple Tifereth Israel for allowing me to do such meaningful work with our teens, and I graciously accept this award.
Our next honoree is Joseph Yoe Feigenbaum.
I'd like to thank my wife for endlessly supporting me throughout my busy work days and volunteer opportunities. I'd also like to thank my parents for their endless support and guidance throughout the years, and to Paul Gewartz for nominating me for this award. Thank you.
Our next honoree is Stanislav Golovin.
Hello. I would like to thank Cleveland Jewish News and Classic Lexus for organizing this amazing ceremony. I would also like to thank my wonderful family, friends, and teachers who have supported me throughout this journey. It is a great honor to be selected for this special award, and I hope that soon we'll get a chance to celebrate it together in person.
Our next honoree is Kevin KRETCH.
I'd like to thank a couple people for this award. It's a wonderful achievement, and I'm very excited about it. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my wife, Allison, for being my rock and always being there for me to drag me to temple and to keep the traditions alive in our household. She's always the first one to go and grab the Shabbat candles and the menorah, and she makes sure that our kids keep a steady tradition and put them into Jewish day school, which I thought was great. I obviously would not be here without you. I want to thank my parents who instilled the traditions and values in my life growing up, and kept it going after my bar mitzvah, which is when most people lose it, I feel like. I would like to thank my grandparents for obviously the same thing.
Our next honoree is Claire LEVIN.
I'd like to accept this award on behalf of my team at YOU, who've invested in me as a young leader at the organization. And I'd also am accepting this award on behalf of the generations before me, like my grandparents, who have supported me in my future and my learning, and have instilled values of community service and giving back.
Our next honoree is SAMIA MANSOUR.
Thank you to the Cleveland Jewish News and Classic Lexus for the honor of being selected as one of the 12 under 36 for 2020. I'd like to thank my fiance for always having my back, and I'd also like to thank my colleagues at J-Hub and the JEC who inspire me to grow as a professional. Finally, I'd like to thank everyone who has supported the work that J-Hub does in the Jewish community. Thanks again, and congratulations to the rest of the class of 2020.
Our next honoree is Samuel NEWMAN.
I am so incredibly honored to be one of this year's 12 under 36. First and foremost, thank you to my amazing wife, Janelle, who submitted me for consideration, but also to my family for giving me a very strong foundation and teaching me how to be a decent human being. And also, I have to dedicate this to my daughter, Molly, who isn't quite born yet, but she's on the way. Love you, Molly.
Our next honoree is Rachel ROOD.
I am so honored to be named one of this year's 12 under 36. I want to thank my family, my coworkers for nominating me for this award, and I just want to thank the Jewish community.
Our next honoree is Sarah Schinbach.
Thank you, Cleveland Jewish News, for this award. I also want to thank my family for always being there, especially my husband, for your endless love and support. Thank you.
And our next honoree is David M. Toth.
I'm really excited to be an honoree of the 12 under 36 this year. I am humble and very thankful. I couldn't have done it with all those that have supported me through the years, including friends, family, advisors, and mentors. But most importantly, thank you to my wife, Lindsay, who supported me for over 16 years and doing it all for these two guys, Sam and Jordan. Thanks again.
And finally this evening, Dr. Samantha Vinokur Meinrath.
Thank you so much for this honor. I'm truly so appreciative to accept, and just want to say thank you to the Cleveland Jewish community, to the colleagues, friends, and of course my amazing family for all the support you've given and making everything that I'm able to do possible. Thank you.
So Matt, if I'm a customer visiting your showroom, your beautiful showroom in Willoughby Hills, how are you keeping me safe today?
Well, Kevin, from the beginning, we have been deemed essential in the car business. So at Classic, we wanted to, right off the bat, not only keep that cleanliness that we typically have on a regular basis here, but we wanted to add some extra things to make sure our customers and our employees felt safe. So we're offering complimentary masks when guests arrive, especially now where you have to have a mask. Inside the dealership, we check temperatures when you arrive as well, and we have gloves. In the event that a customer feels they would like them, or we're wearing them when we get in and out of customers' vehicles. We also will sanitize those vehicles that we get into, but we want everybody to feel safe.
That's great, Matt. So whether you're coming in, having your vehicle serviced, or browsing your beautiful showroom for a brand new Lexus, folks should absolutely feel safe and secure coming into Classic Lexus in Willoughby Hills.
Absolutely. This is a time that we all need to feel safe, customers as well as our employees, and we're really taking that very highly.
Great. Thanks, Matt. Classic Lexus is doing their part. And now, folks, it's time to get to know our honorees of the 2020 class of 1,236 members of the tribe, presented by the Cleveland Jewish News and Classic Lexus.
So my most memorable Jewish experience was probably my first son's bris, Sam. He 4 years old now. We had all the family, friends, loved ones together, and part of that celebration of life was also commemorating my grandfather, who passed away a couple months before that. Sam was named after my grandfather, Stan Keller, and it was a way for us to get all of those that have been part of our lives, our community, our traditions and culture in the Jewish world came together, and were able to celebrate both my grandfather, but as well as Sam being welcomed into the Jewish people. And that memory is something that I'll always be able to hold on to. Being able to celebrate both at one event, being able to teach my kids that they have a family of loved ones and cared ones and friends that will always be around them in good times and bad times. Definitely one of the most powerful memories I'll have.
My most memorable Jewish experience has been working at the Temple Tifereth Israel as the Director of Youth Engagement for the past 4 years. It really has been the most rewarding experience engaging with our teens, with our families and our young learners, really watching them find their own Jewish identities and explore their Judaism in unique ways has been so meaningful.
My most memorable Jewish moment is probably the fact that my hair caught on fire at my bat mitzvah. Definitely memorable, definitely a Jewish time in my life, probably the most Jewish time so far, and also terrifying.
What is your most memorable Jewish moment? I had the opportunity to study abroad in Hong Kong in 2008. While studying abroad there, I attended a Passover Seder at the local Chabad. At my Seder table, I learned that 4 of the members of the table were from different continents. It wasn't until that moment that I realized the bond that Judaism could provide and how it can extend beyond borders and languages.
If I could have dinner with anyone living or dead, I would pick Lin-Manuel Miranda, because he wrote Hamilton and it's one of my favorite musicals in the world, and I'd challenge him to a rap battle and I would lose, and it would be amazing.
If I could have dinner with any one person, living or deceased, I would have to say Andrew Bird. If you don't know of him, he's a wonderful singer-songwriter, musician, and he sort of bends genres between classical, pop, jazz, folk, sort of everything in between. Anyway, I've been listening to him since I was 17 years old, and his music has always just put me in the right state of mind, and I would love to sit down with him and talk.
If I could pick one person to have dinner with, right now in this world of COVID-19, it would be my family. My sister lives in Israel, my in-laws live in Israel, my parents are in New York, my brother and sister-in-law are in Virginia. So with this far-flung, multinational family, there are so many celebrities and iconic figures that I could think of to have dinner with, but really what I am longing for is a return to being able to sit around the table with the people who I love the most.
My most memorable Jewish moment is from last year when I was able to take my fiance to Israel through the program Honeymoon Israel. I am fortunate to be able to staff the Honeymoon Israel trips from Cleveland, and last year my fiance was finally able to travel with us. It was so incredible to be able to share that experience with him, especially because he had never been to Israel before. We traveled with 20 other young couples from Cleveland, and it was so much fun to experience Israel with other young adults in a similar life stage as us. I am so grateful to have had the opportunity to share Israel with him, and it's something that really impacted both of us deeply.
My most memorable Jewish experience was my wedding. My husband and I had a traditional Jewish wedding at the synagogue that I grew up attending in Charleston, West Virginia. The rabbi who married us is the same rabbi who did my baby naming and my bat mitzvah, and specifically circling my husband 7 times and then walking under the chuppah together and affirming our love for each other and our commitment to living a Jewish life together is by far my most memorable Jewish experience.
My most memorable Jewish moment is visiting Israel for the first time when I was 11 years old. I loved every moment that I spent in that beautiful country. I especially enjoyed exploring wonderful cities such as Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and Eilat. Being in Israel truly felt like I was at home.
If I could witness one moment in history, I'd like to be the good Jewish boy and say something religious, like freeing of the slaves or something like that. But truthfully, I am quite fascinated by the pyramids. So watching the construction of the pyramids of Giza would be a huge one for me. I'd love to see how it was actually done. It's pretty crazy. I would love to be able to go back and see an Olympics in the Colosseum in ancient Greece. That would be awesome.
Why did I choose Northeast Ohio? Well, that's easy. It chose me. I'm a born and raised Clevelander, but I also chose to stay here. And not just because my family is here, though that is a compelling reason. I love Cleveland because we have a diverse population. We're a music-centric city. I love being close to a great lake. I love that our town is totally underrated and underestimated. And I love that I have a good life here.
We chose to live in Northeast Ohio for 2 main reasons: the vibrant Jewish community and the arts and culture here. My husband and I have been season ticket holders at Playhouse Square ever since we moved here 4 years ago, and we also see the Cleveland Orchestra a few times a year. Cleveland is a great place to raise our children, and we feel very fortunate to be here.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years? I see myself continuing to work with Jewish Big Brothers Big Sisters, the Evans Scholars Foundation, and hopefully seeing my little become a big brother himself.
My favorite Jewish holiday during the year is Yom Kippur. There's no greater time throughout the year to commit to improving ourselves and to change our path forward.
My favorite Jewish holiday has always been Passover. When I was younger, we used to get candy to represent all of the plagues, and it was always just a fun way to celebrate the holiday and help the Seder go by a little bit quicker. Just love being together with my family and my friends, and being around the table together has always been my favorite.
One thing most people probably don't know about me is that in high school, I won the senior superlative for best hair. Shout out class of 06 Canton McKinley Bulldogs.
One of the things that people don't know about me, really almost nobody knows about me, is that I have a massive fascination for astrophysics. I have a hobby of astrophotography. So I have a giant telescope that is attached to a digital camera that I take pictures of deep space objects like galaxies and nebula and stuff like that. and I really enjoy reading about it, and the notion that the universe is so incredibly large. When you think about it, it makes it feel so small. Is really, really fascinating. And things like that we really take for granted every day, like things like gravity even is a small one, but it's really, if you really understand the concept of gravity, it's actually quite fascinating. So definitely that would be the one thing that maybe my wife knows and maybe my parents know. That's about it.
So if I had a friend coming in from out of town, there's two different things that they need to visit while in Cleveland. First are the sights, second is the foods. Now, I'm a foodie, so the first two places I would stop, Jack's Deli. What do you want with corned beef hash, corned beef sandwich, corned beef Reuben? Jack's is the place to stop. Secondly, Geraci's Pizza. We don't have Chicago pizza or New York pizza. In my eyes, we have Geraci's. Two great staples. In terms of sights, I grew up on the lake and was really a believer in everything Cleveland has with the waterfront. So getting down to Edgewater Park, but most importantly is Wade Oval and University Circle. The museums, the gardens, the parks, the green space, that's all walking distance and very easy to get to downtown. All things that if you're coming to Cleveland, you've got to be able to see.
My advice for my 12-year-old self would be that my happiness is completely in my own control and that nobody else can take joy away from you.
The advice that I would give my 12-year-old self is to never stop learning. There's so much to learn from in both the secular world and in Torah study.
My greatest role model was my grandma Tilly. She lived with me my entire life, and I learned so much from her about how to be kind to people. And she would go up to anybody on the street, in a restaurant, and just ask how their day was and interact with them. And I just loved how open she was to the world and how much joy she brought to people.
My greatest role model is my mother, Rima Golovina. She has taught me how to be compassionate, grateful, respectful, honest, hardworking, and many other qualities that a decent person should possess. She has always done her absolute best to make sure that my sister Regina and I had everything that we needed.
If I could change one thing about the world today, I think it would really be creating spaces where people can constructively argue and disagree with each other across self-defined lines of party or belief system, where people could have mutual respect and come together for constructive criticism, for disagreement that would still enable us to maintain relationships and to be able to look through others' perspectives, to hear diverse points of view, and to be comfortable with our own discomfort in shared spaces.
So in keeping with our event tradition, we decided to have a little fun with our honorees this year, and we took to Facebook for a Facebook like contest. We posted all of our honorees' photos on Facebook, and the one honoree that received the most number of likes this year, our honoree received 300. Our winner received 300 likes. We make a donation in honor of that person on behalf of the Cleveland Jewish News, Classic Lexus, and KMK Promotional Sales to their favorite charity. And again, our winner of the Facebook like contest with 300 likes is Sarah Schinbach. So Sarah, we are making a donation for $250 in your name to your favorite charity, the Equal Justice Initiative, on behalf of the Cleveland Jewish News, Classic Lexus, and KMK Promotional Sales. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, family, community members, thank you so much for joining us virtually for the 2020 Cleveland Jewish News Classic Lexus 12 Under 36 Members of the Tribe Award Celebration. May you all go from strength to strength.